Hello, everyone, and welcome into Coach Craig Sports. Today is Monday, February 27th, and this is the NBA DFS Core Pick video, Core Pick live stream for today. It is a very small slate today. We only got 4 games in total, all pretty close to each other. So hopefully we get a lot of the news by the time we get to lock today so we can make some pretty solid lineups. But what we'll be doing in this video, going through the injuries and play for today's 4-game slate, and then talking about the core picks for both FanDuel and DraftKings for today. As always, if anybody is listening live and they have any questions, feel free to leave them in the chat. If you're listening on replay, feel free to leave it down in the comment section. I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. I also do know that with the questions, I do prefer, excuse me. Also, with the questions, be sure to know whether they are more FanDuel or DraftKings specific, just so I can help you as quickly as possible and as efficiently as possible, instead of going back and forth, being like, hey, you're asking about this player. Is it more FanDuel or DraftKings specific? Since, people pop up, ask questions, and it's hard to remember exactly which sites each person plays on or if they play on both sites. But without further ado, we'll get started with the injuries in play for tonight's slate. So we do have the Miami Heat and the Philadelphia 76ers, one of the first 7 o'clock games. So Nikola Jovic, Yomer Yurtseven, both listed out. Kyle Lowry was ruled out earlier today as well. We got Tyler Hero listed as questionable, I believe, dealing with a rib contusion, something like that. But it's kind of up in the air whether or not he'll play. If he doesn't play, we'll probably see either Caleb Martin, Max Strus, or Victor Oladipo start in his place. And then we have Kevin Love listed as probable. Has listed as a knee injury, but played through it on, I believe, Saturday or Sunday it was. So not really too concerned about him. Has been in the starting lineup since he's joined this Heat team overall. Then on the opposite side, we got the Philadelphia 76ers. They just had Dwayne Dedmon out tonight, so nothing that we're really watching from their side overall. The other 7 o'clock Eastern game is going to be another spot that we're going to look at quite a bit today. Mainly on this Detroit side, we have Nerlens Noel. Jaden Ivey was ruled out earlier this morning with due to personal reasons, so he will not be playing. Alex Burks probably in that starting lineup, but if somebody else does start, they could be a good value as well. And then we have Jalen Duran listed out with an ankle injury. And then we have Isaiah Stewart listed as questionable. He's dealing with some hip soreness. We'll see if he plays or not. Obviously, if he does not end up playing, we're going to get some value here. We're going to get Marvin Bagley. We're going to get some Isaiah Livers. That's going to look pretty good as well. Those guys still could potentially look good even if Stewart does end up playing as well. And then for small forward with Bojan Bogdanovic, he's also dealing with an injury. I can't even remember what his is off the top of my head, so we're just going to look at that real quick since it is just a 4-game slate. He's listed with Achilles soreness, so we'll see if he plays tonight or not. But who knows at this point? It says he's dealing with tendinopathy in both of his Achilles, so wouldn't make some sense to give him the night off, but we'll just have to see if he plays or not. Obviously, if he doesn't play, we could see a couple different starting lineups. Maybe Hamidou Diallo starts in his place, maybe Isaiah Livers starts in his place. Just a lot of different ways they could go, just depending on who's in and out for this Detroit team. Probably going to be one of the better value spots, and one of the popular pay down options on tonight is going to probably come from that game, since it is right at lock as well. Then on the Hornets side, we got Cody Martin listed as out again, and then PJ Washington listed as doubtful once again. JT Thor did start in his place the last time out. Didn't really play particularly well, but he got 26 minutes. So even if he goes out there and if he gets 0.6 fantasy points per minute at 26 minutes, he's still a reasonable play at 5X on a 4-game slate. But if he goes out there and plays like crap once again, probably not going to help you out too well, but there is some upside there as well at mid price on both sites. Then we were a 7:30 game with the Boston Celtics there without Jaylen Brown and Danilo Gallinari once again today. So obviously Jaylen Brown is the big name there. Jason Tatum's going to look good on both sides. You can get some Derek White, some Marcus Smart, and some Malcolm Brogdon probably once again too as well. Sam Hauser would become interesting if he does end up in that starting lineup somehow once again. And then we got Derek White listed as probable, so not really too concerned for him at this point in time. On the opposite side of the game, we have the Knicks, who are completely healthy. Mitchell Robinson has been back for, I believe, 2 games now, so he's somebody that's going to be interesting, especially on the DraftKings side as well. Has some pretty good upside. Center position in general is going to be pretty interesting, especially on DraftKings today. Then last but not least, we move down to the 8 o'clock game, the Orlando Magic without Jonathan Isaac today. So taking away a couple minutes there, but nothing crazy at this point in time. Michael Carter-Williams listed as questionable. He just recently rejoined the team. He was with the team for the past couple of years, but he had the ankle surgery last year, never ended up playing before he got cut. So if he comes back to the team, what kind of role he has, if he even ends up playing or not. And then for the Pelicans side, we have EJ Liddell, Larry Nance, and Zion one there is going to be Larry Nance, just because the other two guys have been out for quite some time. But Larry Nance does open up some minutes for other guys, mainly Jonas Valanciunas. Willie Hernan-Gomez behind him is kind of an interesting pay down option as well. But with that being said, that's kind of what we have in terms of injuries today. Mainly what we're looking out for today is going to be that Tyler Hero news, the Pistons news overall with Bogdanovich and Stewart, because that could kind of shake the slate. And then if anything else random pops up throughout the day, but pretty simple slate when we're first looking at it, at least early on today. So we're going to get out of this injury screen. We're going to bring up DraftKings and talk about my core picks over there. So let me get that up real quick. So on the DraftKings side, we're going to start off with point guard Marcus Smart. He's $5,500. Obviously, there's no Jaylen Brown today, so there's a little bit more usage to go around in general. Marcus Smart could be a little bit of a beneficiary for that. When you're looking at a $5,500 price tag, you're looking for 27, 28 points. Currently, I'm projected for 28. He's averaging 29.5 on the season, so some pretty good upside at that as well. So Marcus Smart's going to look like a decent pay down, or not even a pay down option, middle of the road priced option at this point in time. At shooting guard, initially I had Jaden Ivey here, honestly, and he looked pretty good prior to his personal injury, or not even personal injury, personal reasons for being out today. In his place, we're going to have Alec Burks at $3,500. You're only looking for 17, 18 points down. Got him projected for 23 today. He's averaging 22 on the season. Good pace up spot. If he goes out there, he plays 28 minutes. He's going to look like one of the better pay down options on tonight's slate overall. Then we move down to small forward, and it's going to be very hard not to play Jason Tatum today, especially on DraftKings at $10,200. You're looking for 51 points. Currently, I'm projected for about 53, 54 tonight. There is no Jaylen Brown, so he's going to take that extra step up most likely once again. It's the Knicks matchup, which the last couple of years, we thought of the Knicks being kind of a better defensive team with Tom Thibodeau as their coach, but they've been playing faster. They haven't been playing as much defense, especially this season. So would not be surprised if that is a very advantageous matchup. And I would assume that Jason Tatum is the highest owned pay up option on tonight's slate overall. Then at power forward, we're going to go with James Wiseman. He is only $3,700. For whatever reason, he has power forward and center eligibility. Does not make any sense since he really only plays the center position. This was a top draft pick once upon a time. He's $3,700. There's no Jalen Durant. He should be in that starting lineup once again tonight. Looking for 18, 19 points out of him. Currently having projected for 23. His big thing with him is just going to be the fouls. Last time he ended up getting into foul trouble, fouling out too. So there is a chance that happens once again. A guy that we once upon a time people thought would be a decent defensive interior player. He's really not turned into that, and even been a liability on defense at times. But the way the Pistons are at this point in time, they're going to give him as many minutes as possible to see if there is anything left in the tank with James Wiseman. And he's been a decent DFS play since joining the since joining the Pistons overall. And then last but not least, at that center position, we got two guys here that probably could be in play. But my favorite's going to be Robert Williams at $5,100. The other guy would be Mitchell Robinson at $5,200. Both very similar price, both have similar upside. But we're going with Robert Williams here at $5,100. They're actually playing against each other tonight. You could play both of them in your lineups if you want to as well. But Robert Williams had projected for 29 points tonight. Looks like a really solid value. He's averaging 25 on the season. But you have to remember, came back from that knee injury at the beginning of the year, had some limited minutes at that point in time, was coming off the bench for a couple games as well, then was dealing with an ankle injury. So there's a lot that went into his points per game average at this point in time, but looks like a very solid play tonight overall. But with that being said, if you go with these five players that I do have listed here, you have $22,000 exactly remaining, just over $7,300 per player. So if you want to pay up for someone else, you still could do that, whether it's a Joel Embiid, a LaMelo Ball, Julius Randle, James Harden, they're there as well. I will say, I think Julius Randle is going to be one of the contrarian pay-up options tonight, just because he's kind of in that awkward price range at $9,300. There's not a ton of guys right in that range tonight overall, but it's not all the way up to the tippy top like Joel Embiid, a Jason Tatum, a LaMelo Ball on tonight's slate, but does have some pretty good upside as well. So if you're building a couple different lineups, if you're playing in GPPs, consider Julius Randle once again tonight as well. But with that being said, we're going to get off DraftKings, stop sharing that screen, go over to FanDuel, start sharing that screen, and talk about my core picks for today as well. So we're going to bring that one up over on FanDuel. And we're going to start off at the point guard position with LaMelo Ball at $10,300. Should be a good matchup tonight against the Detroit Pistons. Unless this game's like a complete blowout, he's going to pay off at this price tag. Looking for 51, 52 points. I'm currently having projected for 52, 53 tonight. Obviously, we know the type of upside that LaMelo Ball can have on any given slate. And going against this Detroit Pistons team, not really too afraid of him getting in foul trouble against a guy like Killian Hayes or like Corey Joseph or somebody like that behind him as well. So, or RJ Hampton, if they decide to run him out there a little bit more often than not as well. Do like LaMelo Ball quite a bit tonight. At shooting guard, ultimately ended up on his teammate in Gordon Hayward at $6,200, looking for 31 points. Currently, I'm projected for 29, 30 points. There's not a lot of guys at shooting guard I love overall today. You play some Brandon Ingram, you could play some Alec Burks if you're looking for a little bit cheaper guy as well. So keep that in mind. Maybe we get some news throughout the day that shakes this position up a little bit more. So that's definitely something we'll keep an eye on. But Gordon Hayward at this point in time looks like a relatively safe play, especially considering no PJ Washington today. Could get some minutes at the 4. Might get a couple extra rebounds there as well. And then we move down to small forward. It's obviously Jason Tatum at this point in time, $11,000. So not quite the discount that we do get over on the DraftKings side where he's priced down today, plus no Jaylen Brown up. So now you're looking at a more reasonably priced Jason Tatum at this point in time. Currently, I'm projected for 54 points. We're looking for 55 out of him. We know the type of upside that he can have on any given slate. And there's a pretty good chance that he is the highest scoring player on tonight's slate overall. Could be him, could be LaMelo Ball. Heck, it could be Joel Embiid, but a little pessimistic on Joel Embiid today, especially with all the other value centers that are out there, and the fact that he is going against a pretty good defensive center in Bam Adebayo today as well. And then at power forward on FanDuel, ultimately ended up paying down to PJ Tucker. He's $3,900. So this is kind of an interesting spot here overall. He's been playing 30 minutes or more since kind of our all-star break. So he's been out there on the court more often than not. He's not a great fantasy point per minute producer, but if he's out there, if he's getting 30 minutes, he can still get you that 18, 19 points that we're looking for out of him. Obviously, it's not been a good season for him by any means, only averaging about 11 on the season. There is some other options that could open up throughout the day that could push PJ Tucker down the list, but at this point in time, just kind of a cheaper pay down option at this point. And then last but not least, at that center position, we're going with Jonas Valanciunas at $6,100. We're looking for 30, 31 points. He's averaging essentially 29 so far on the season. Currently, I'm projected for that 30 to 31 points. Does have a ton of upside for more, especially if he's out there getting the minutes with no Larry Nance. Reasonably priced play that could end up giving you some pretty good upside as well. Good guy to run out there in GPPs as well today. Might not be the most popular just because of some of the other value at center potentially today, but a guy that I do like quite a bit as well. But with that being said, if you go with these 5 players on the FanDuel side, just scrolling up here quick, you have $22,500 remaining, just over $5,600 per player. So going to have to get creative with the rest of the money that we do have. But if you don't want to play like a LaMelo Ball alongside Jason Tatum, you could do that. But I'm going to have a lot of Ball and a lot of Tatum together today, especially on both sides. But if you want that sneaky play, once again, Julius Randle looks pretty good on both sides today as well. It's probably not going to draw as much ownership as some of these other higher price guys as well. But with that being said, that's really all I have in terms of the core picks for today, February 27th. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them, whether you're listening live in the chat or whether you're listening on replay down in the comments, and I'll be more than can't talk right now. I'd be more than happy to answer those questions as quickly as possible. Also, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, the beginning of the stream, if you can note whether those questions are more DraftKings or FanDuel specific, so I can just best help you as quickly and as efficiently as possible, that would be that would be greatly appreciated. And then also, I'll be doing some prize pick content probably later today over on Twitter. So follow me on Twitter at CoachCraigSport for some of that. The ones that I did mention on stream on Friday didn't end up posting, but ran them out there in the line myself. Drew Holiday over fantasy, Trae Young over fantasy, and PJ Washington over fantasy. It was Flex Friday. If you put the $20 down, you flexed it out, you got $45 back, so a $25 profit. If you're brand new to Prize Picks, need a code for first match deposit, feel free to message me on Twitter as well, or I'll leave it down in the comments if that's something you're interested in as well. But also be sure to follow up in the comments throughout the day. I'll have all the injury updates as well as many starting lineups as I can get to tonight down there as well, which should be all of them tonight since we do have all the games starting by 8 o'clock Eastern time. And then as always, about 20 to 30 minutes prior to lock, I'll have my updated core if there are any changes that do happen throughout the day, or if anything else does change throughout the night as well, I'll list that down below as well. But with that being said, that's really all I have for today's video. If you are somebody that is new watching my video for the first time, joining the stream for the first time, would appreciate it if you did subscribe to the channel. Definitely helps build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig's Sports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewer, helping you with your DFS. Primarily NBA and XFL DFS at this point in time, but we'll have MLB DFS right around the corner once the season starts. We'll have some USFL DFS come April as well. So a lot of different things that will be out there. Definitely exciting time. And then also, if you're interested in the NBA Prize Picks, be sure to follow me once again on Twitter at Coach Craig Sport. And then also be doing some NFL draft content here and there as I have the time to do so as well. But with that being said, if you're a new or current subscriber who is yet to do so, also be sure to hit that notification button down below so you never miss out on any time that I do post up a live stream or like a pre-recorded video as well. Looks like we have a question here, so I'm going to try to get that before we get out of here. And this one is coming in from Joseph. Do you like White or Smart more for DraftKings? Personally, I like Smart more just because he's got that cheaper price tag. He's the more traditional point guard in a sense. I think there is the opportunity, if Derek White's not playing well, for him to get supplemented by Malcolm Brogdon. But I mean, if you're playing multiple lineups out there, you should have some exposure to Smart. You should have some exposure to Derek White, and you should have some exposure to Malcolm Brogdon. And I think, I was about to say, I think Derek White's a lot more heftier price, but that is on the FanDuel side. When you play on both sides, sometimes the pricing goes back and forth. But Derek White's a reasonable play on both sides. Would prefer him on DraftKings compared to FanDuel though, but there is upside and there is usage to go around. So do not be afraid to go to like any of these Celtics guys tonight. Even like a Grant Williams could be a cheap pay down option, especially on DraftKings tonight overall as well. But kind of with what I was saying here, I'm going to try to get out of here. That's pretty much everything that I do have for today's video. Like I said, if you're brand new to the channel, haven't already done so, hit that notification bell so you never miss anything I do when it comes to pre-recorded videos or live as well. Looks like Joseph said thank you here as well. So thank you for checking out the stream, Joseph. Thank you for asking the question. If anybody does have more questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments. But that's pretty much what I do have for today. I do appreciate everybody that did take the time to watch this video, whether you're watching live or on replay. Definitely appreciate each and every one of you taking the time out of your day to watch this video. Definitely means a lot to me, and I hope that each and every one of you has a great rest of your day.